Hello, guys, and welcome back to Football Friends. We're coming back for season 3. We thought Australian football is thriving at the moment. Obviously, we had the Aussie Championship kick off last weekend. The A League is back this weekend. Steph just turned 30 yesterday. How did you celebrate over in the new country?
Well, in the famous words of Ange Postecoglou, season three is always better than season two. And unlike him, we've actually come back for season three, doing the same thing. And he's not going too well at Nottingham Forest in season one. But yeah, what did I do? Not a whole lot. It's just me, Carla, and Orlando. There's only so much you can do with him. We wanted to go shopping and go and sit at cafes and restaurants, and he didn't want to do that, so we went to a kids' cafe. I probably picked up all sorts of diseases from crawling through the ball pit, and he fell asleep just before lunch, which was nice. So we got a little bit of time, and yeah, it was good. No, everything was all good. He's been sick the last week, so I was just happy that he was better, and I've got no grey hairs. I don't think anyway. I got a haircut yesterday. Not that it looks like it, but no grey hairs, no hair falling out like you. So I'm doing something right.
Yeah, that's why I've got the hat on, but you're officially an old bastard now, so welcome to the 30s club. Obviously been there for a few months. I was getting lonely, so I'm glad to have you. Obviously jumping back into footy, that's what we're here to talk about, and obviously the Australian Championship just kicked off this weekend. I know there's been a lot of talk for a long time with these NPL clubs and a lot of traditional former NSL clubs that they're wanting professional football, they're wanting to get back in. Finally, it's happened. It was meant to happen last year, never happened, and now it's finally underway. Obviously, a few exciting matches, some good crowds. Obviously, the South Melbourne game was kicked it off, and it was a really really good game. What have your thoughts been so far, Steph? And obviously, I've seen you punching on with a few people on X as usual.
Yeah, with our mate Nick that we had on the podcast, and I just sometimes I just don't understand. I think everybody is just so selfish in the way that they're thinking about things and like talking rubbish, to be honest. Like, and just living in fairy tale lands. Like, what we've got right now is the dream scenario. You know, if we could have promotion, relegation, and open pyramid, of course we would. But like, that's going to set the country back so far if we just stripped all the clubs and started again. Like, for what it is right now, I just think all people involved in the A League, majority, maybe not the club owners because they may be a bit worried, um, but all anybody players, myself included. I'm sure you're the same. We just want the Oz Championship to be successful. We want it to grow. We want it to be potentially a full home and away season, because it gives more players professional contracts. For people like ourselves when we're retiring soon. Maybe there's jobs in the game. It's a really positive thing, and I think we need to get away from this whole of fucking, I don't even know what it is, talking about why is the A League's promoting Nesta Irankunda as an A League player, and why is the Oz Championship promoting the Oz Championship like it should be all Australian football and connect. I just don't really. What do you mean? Like, it is all Australian football. Of course, your own league's going to promote itself, and of course, individual teams are going to want what's best for them. If South Melbourne can get into the A League, they'll do it tomorrow. So anyway, I'm never going to win those battles. I don't know why I start. I get so heated up when I'm when
You
I'm
just can't you
when I'm
can't
doing
help
it,
yourself, can you?
and then
You're
I just look
bored.
at
You're bored in
myself,
Vietnam.
and then yeah, I'm born in Vietnam. So it's. But anyway, back to the real stuff, and that's the football. And Friday night down at Lakeside, it was, I guess, the perfect result really for the game. A couple of unbelievable goals, South winning it late on. I thought the standard was good. I don't know if you know the correct terminology is, but when you're listening to a game and the commentary and like you can't hear the crowd, so it sounds like an NPL game essentially.
Yeah, you need a bit more ambience. They need the mics closer to the
Because they were
crowd.
saying how, like, the sideline reporter was saying how like loud it is,
Or
but
they could just take the athletics track away.
yeah, potentially that. But I don't think it's that. I think it's sometimes in some A League games it's like that as well. And they were saying how loud the crowd was, but with the commentary you couldn't get the atmosphere in. But anyway, it obviously was a decent crowd. First game for South, they won. which was important. I think another game that I thought was quite funny was the Bayswater Sydney United and the idiot in the crowd trying to waste time with the ball, and he's then thrown it back onto the pitch, and they've played it on, even though there's the second ball, and then the Bayswater players lobbed the keeper, and they've equalised in the 97th minute or whatever. So it's just, um, yeah, funny how you always get calmer when you try and waste time.
Jackson Stevens, the Adelaide boy, on the score sheet. It was actually a great goal, and obviously there was a few really good goals, like you said, in the South Melbourne game. Obviously in the South Hobart Wollongong Wolves game as well. So it's really good. I'm glad that it's got off to a good start. I really do hope, especially some of these traditional NSL clubs can bring in some big crowds. There's some massive clubs in it. I think what they've done really well so far is how accessible it is, how easy it is to just watch the games. I don't know if it's as
Mm.
easy for you over in Vietnam, but I caught that South Melbourne game late. Literally just went online.
Friday, no, I was just saying Friday and Sunday games are free on YouTube here as well. So it's unbelievable. The Saturday ones I need to do the VPN.
It's good. I think it's good. I think that's one thing that they've done well, just how accessible it is, and obviously you've got the A League that's behind a paywall. I think that's probably one thing that the Oz Championship has managed to do really well. Obviously, this deal with SBS is good. Hopefully, it is really visible for the game. We need our game to be visible, whether it's Oz Championship or A League. We need it to be out there. We need it to be easy for people to watch it, and I think that's probably where the game has struggled, especially in the last 5 years since COVID.
No, 100%. I think there was close to 20,000 people through the gates, which is great. There was obviously a few big crowds. There's going to be, some of the teams are going to only get, I don't know what Metro Stars was, but it's the stadium isn't set up like it's not really that desirable to want to go there. I know they've got their new little stand that probably holds 200 people, but besides that, everything else is not covered. It's not, no disrespect to Metro Stars, but it's not that great. There's no real in Adelaide. There's a couple of okay ones, but Metro Stars don't really have the best setup for it, and that's okay. It is what it is. Preston had a decent crowd, and some of these games are at middle of the day, so it's not prime time slots Saturday night where I think they do have a lockout with the A League. I think they've tried to do that, which I think is a good thing, and I know it may limit the crowds and the ratings, which will be really interesting to see if they publish those to see how many people actually tuned into all the games because that's the metrics of obviously people through the gates and TV. Those are the key things that are gonna, I guess, determine what happens in season two. But for right now, I think it's exciting. I'm sure all the players were buzzing, and a lot of them have probably never played at a professional level and had this exposure besides maybe an Australia Cup run. But this is like, you're rocking up to the game. There's a little bit more social media presence. There's the TV cameras. There's the interviews after the game. So it's exciting for them. And I think it's great. And I think it's going to hopefully unearth some players that have the potential to play in the A-League. And it's going to really probably show the teams that are ambitious and do want to make that step to be full time. So it's exciting. I don't know what you kind of look at the end of this of what a success is. But I think if you're looking at round one, I think that's as good as it's going to get really with how it's been. If we can keep following on that path, then we're on a good way.
Yeah, I think there's still 8 more weeks to go. I think probably the hype will build as it goes along, as the games start to become bigger games. They get crunch time games. There'll hopefully be bigger crowds. Hopefully, be some bigger viewing on YouTube or whatever it is as well. So yeah, hopefully the numbers keep going up for that. But onto the A League. Obviously, starting this week, Steph, you're not in the league this year. Has being out of the league and being in Vietnam, have you noticed, the promotion of the league? Have you seen a lot now that you're away from it? I know you spend 85% of your time off the football field on X, so I'm sure you've seen quite a lot.
I don't. I just keep seeing the same shit. The same people keep popping up. The algorithm from Elon Musk is way off. I need to say that I don't want to see these people anymore. But um, to be honest, I think the Oz Championship is, and this is the worry with it. Is it going to rival it? I think they're starting way too close to each other. I think I know the NPLs obviously finish at a certain time. I think they need to be maybe pushed forward and they need to finish earlier in the season. And I think the Oz Championship needs to start way earlier than the A League starts. Or if the A League starts before, that's fine as well. Um, because all the hype, had been on the Oz Championship this week, and then to just switch it for 5 days now, a 5 day lead in to the A League is doing it an injustice, and it's also doing it an injustice to the Oz Championship round two when people are like, oh well, what do I watch now? And I know they're on at different times, but it's 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 a problem, but I guess it's a good problem that there's plenty of football on, and I think people are always the same. We were the same, as players in the recent seasons. There's not a lot on free to air. There's not a lot in the papers, but there's not many people that consume, general media these days, traditional media anyway. So I think on TikTok and Instagram and X, obviously your A League teams are putting stuff out. There hasn't been like the advert. I haven't seen like the cool advert that came out a few years ago, and last year they did it. Um, so it's going to be interesting. I am worried. Like obviously, the reason why I left was it obviously comes down to financials, but there's a lot of reasons why players did leave. So I am worried about how this season's going to go. I don't think the crowds will drop off too much, but I don't think there's going to be a massive growth in it. And I think the quality and product is going to be interesting to see. Obviously, there's been massive changes with yourself leaving Western and Western now essentially no longer existing, which we will go into at a later date in full detail of how that played out. But what about yourself? Like now you're at Sydney FC, one of the biggest clubs. How has it changed now? You've gone from Melbourne to Sydney. Is there more exposure there with the three teams being at Sydney FC? Have you done pre-season functions? What's it been like since you've been there?
Yeah, look, I think like based on quality, you probably it's never been closer than this. If you're looking at the Oz Championship compared to A League, obviously you saw Heidelberg's run, you saw Avondale in the Oz Cup. So as a quality standpoint, it is probably closer than ever, and that's very obvious because of where the A League has gone in terms of financial decisions, probably in the last 5 years, and the big focus now on young players. And I think while that remains the case, it's going to be great for these young players that are coming through and hopefully getting really good moves, and hopefully that's going to bolster the national team. But it also does mean that the league is very young, and as we've come to see, and obviously the struggles with Western United now being out of the league. Obviously, you've got a similar kind of thing brewing at Central Coast, who I thought at least had a really, really good coach, but now they've lost him as well. So, yeah, it is a little bit worrying, but I do hope that, it is a success. And from what I've noticed in the early doors coming from Western and now at Sydney, is you can definitely see the stature of the club, how big of a club Sydney FC is. Obviously, not too many people stopping on the street in Melbourne for a photo. Obviously, Western United not having the biggest fan base, but just even being here in Sydney, I don't know if it's that people are more interested in football here. Even just walking around, the amount of jerseys you see, Sydney FC, Western Sydney, MacArthur jerseys, Newcastle Jets jersey. I saw the other day a guy sitting at a pub, but not just A League, English Premier League, Crystal Palace jerseys, people walking around in football jerseys. So I think there is an appetite for it, and we know that there's an appetite for it in the country. I hope that can translate, whether it's Oz Championship, it should be Oz Championship and A League, but hopefully people are getting down to their local game. We start the season at Leichhardt Oval, which the boys here have, talked up quite a lot, that it's usually a good showing there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sydney FC is definitely a massive club. Our season launch was at 7:30 a.m., which I've never had before in my whole career. There was a room of about 300 people in there. So yeah, massive club. Excited, very excited for the season.
Really?
Yeah, really weird. I've never
Well,
seen anything like it. Rock up to the Shangri-La at 7 a.m. I'm thinking, fucking hell, I just need a coffee. And I'm seeing quite a few punters like coming through the door in suits, and they were going downstairs, and that's where our function was. And I was like, oh, like, there must be something else, like a business thing on. And we walk into this room, and there's like just this massive ballroom and 300 people in there, sponsors, uh, all the partners, and you're like, fucking hell, this is the real deal.
I guess everybody's so busy in Sydney, and probably the best time to do it is before work because if you do it after work, people maybe just want to get home or the traffic is more chaotic. So I guess it shows obviously the big teams like a Sydney FC. I'm sure West Sydney do something similar. Victory, I know, do things like that. They do have a big attraction. We just need more teams like that because you go from that level down to a Western United, what they were, or even I guess probably a MacArthur Ball's a big difference. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm excited. I'm still excited for the season. You guys are kicking it off against Adelaide in Adelaide, so I'm obviously going to be very keenly watching that one to see how my Reds go. But also wanting you to do well. Now that I'm not even at Adelaide, I can. I don't want you to win, but I want you to maybe play better than what I did want you to play when I was actually playing for the Reds. So. Um, it's yeah, it's. I think it's anyone's year to win it. And I was messaging Jason Hoffman as well yesterday for my birthday, because he gave me the old message, trying to probably recruit me to the Jets when I'm coming back. But
They
he,
don't need you, brother.
he was buzzing. Obviously, they've just won the Australia Cup, and I said to him like, it's a great season to get things right because I think this is the year that anyone can win. You look across the league and there's a lot of teams I think they can win it. There's probably only one team I would look at and I'd completely write them off, and that is Central Coast, based on no recruiting, losing your coach. I just think they're going to be an absolute shambles, which is not good. You don't want any team to be like that. But I would say everybody else, Perth Glory have recruited well. Again, it doesn't mean much, obviously, on paper. You guys look good on paper. Western Sydney look good on paper. MacArthur, Melbourne City, Victory. But there's so many question marks around, like, Arthur Dillis, it's his first year really taking over. You just don't know, I guess. And then Brisbane Roar, I'm really excited about them, to be honest, from a social media perspective, from a community perspective, from preseason results. Everything they've done has looked top tier, and they need a strong Brisbane Roar to kind of come back after so many years of disappointment. But the biggest test is going to come. You can pump everything up in preseason, as you'd know as well. If you lose round one, it means fuck all. So let's see how they go. I think our mate Rooster's there and he's loving it. They've been training hard, so I think they'll make the top six. Brisbane, though, I'm pretty confident in saying that one. Um,
Really?
yeah, you don't think they will?
That's a huge call. Brisbane to be in the top six. Look, I think they're only going to improve. They can't be worse, I don't think. You'd really want to hope not. They've obviously looked really good. I think they've done a good job of promoting themselves. I love the little inside series that they did on social media, which looked really cool. And yeah, they've definitely done a good job of putting the club out there and getting the fans excited. Obviously, hopefully that can translate to performances on the pitch. And they have had a good preseason, but everything changes. Obviously, once the season starts, it's completely different, and they will want to be looking for some good results early to hopefully get those fans on side. Hopefully, their stadium issues are behind them. So, yeah, looking forward to the season. My tips, obviously, look, I'm going to say Sydney FC. And you know what? I'm fucking happy to be at a club where everyone's not going to be saying that we're going to finish last, because all the fucking experts last year tipped Western United to come last. And it just goes to show how much they fucking know. So now I'm at Sydney FC. Everyone can fuck off. So now I'll be looking forward to look, just really excited to get it underway. And obviously, from my point of view, probably 4, 5 weeks ago, even less, 3, 4 weeks ago, I was thinking whether I'd even be playing professional football anymore. So to be at a club like Sydney, I'm buzzing. I just hope that the whole season is positive. Hopefully, there's some good crowds. Looking forward to Adelaide round one, getting back home. Coopers is always an amazing place to play. So yeah, just looking forward to it all getting started. It's the longest preseason in world football. So yeah, it's about time it gets started, and hopefully those clubs that are really driving the league, hopefully they do get rewarded and they're up there.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I was trying to before this, I was trying to look and to see like who do I think's going to make the top six, and it's so difficult. I think the only teams I would actually lock in for the top six are City and Auckland are the ones I would say guaranteed. I'm not a betting person. I'm not allowed to bet on it, obviously, especially with Uli de Villa. I think he's getting sentenced soon as well for his betting charges. So I'm not betting on this. But if I was a betting man and I was allowed to, Melbourne City and Auckland are the only ones I would actually comfortably put money on. I think you guys um, like I look at your team and I think everything's great, but I thought that last year as well about Sydney FC. So I'm not sure why it didn't work. Hopefully, obviously, it does work for you this year with them, and same with West Sydney. Like they really went hard at the end of the season, but then obviously finals was a bit of a letdown. They've lost some really good players. The Johnny Warren medalist in Milanovic is the biggest one, which I don't think they've replaced him at all with their other players. Thurgate coming in is massive. I think that's one of the best signings. He's such as you'd know, such an important player in that number six position. So I think West Sydney and you guys are probably in that next tier where I would say just squad wise, I like you guys, and then everybody after that Jets, Victory, Bulls, Adelaide United, Brisbane Roar, Glory, and Wellington. Wellington again, I think they'll be down the bottom with Central Coast, but could be wrong with that one. But everyone else, I think you just don't know. You honestly just don't know because on paper they look okay, their first 11s, but if they get a couple of injuries, they just look so thin. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I think the one prediction I will give out there is I think that Joe Lolly, I reckon, will be the best player in the competition this year.
Yeah, I second that. I nearly tipped Milo for the Johnny Warren last year, and I ended up going against him and went with Tilio, which I'm still spewing about that. So this year we're gonna get it for once. I'm gonna say Joe Lolly as well. I already probably thought he was the best player in the league, but now actually being at the club and seeing him day in, day out, he's just, yeah, for me, he's the best player by a country mile. Whether he wins it or not, I still think he's the best player. So he's in good shape. Hopefully he's banging him in this year. I'm just happy that I don't have to fucking play on him, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as well with Costa leaving, as bad as that is for the league, I think it gets Lolly back to his preferred position and he can be the man again. Like you see it like I look at it like Liverpool right now because they're fucking stinking, not even top of the table anymore. Etike, Ekatike, whatever the fuck his name is, and Isak, you have two players and they both want to be the man, and you look at like kind of the
Ethique.
disharmony that yeah, having good etiquette, um, the disharmony that can kind of have in a group is not great. Like you almost need your standalone. Okay, he's the man here. He's the number nine, or he's the right winger that's cutting in from the left. Well, when you've got two players that are almost exactly the same, it just doesn't work. And yeah, I think I second that. I think Lolly, when he plays, and is unbelievable. There's going to be some new recruits in the league that obviously we haven't seen before yet, but I think he's our tip for the Johnny Warren. And I guess I went with Auckland and Melbourne City top two finish. So if you want to give anything besides Sydney FC, you're more than welcome to. If not, then we can look to wrap up episode one nice and short.
Yeah, I say fuck all the other teams. Sydney FC. That's all I'm adding. So I'm happy to leave it there for episode one. Just happy to be back, to be honest.
I was just going to say as well. I guess we didn't speak about it. Obviously, the Socceroos, they're good result, and then also the young Socceroos. I think the disappointment of winning the Asian Cup and then coming back, to a World Cup with not getting out of the group is disappointing. But when you look at how many years it had been since we'd properly qualified for these tournaments, I think they did okay, and they probably did have quite a good group, a difficult one to get out of. So that was disappointing, but they'll come back and hopefully those young boys will kick off and be the next ones to get sold overseas because the clubs need it. It's good for Australian football. But yeah, I think that's that's probably all we've got time for. Besides, I guess the last one was Big Harry Kill coming to Hanoi FC. So I'm actually going for dinner with him tonight. So he better pay. He better pay the bill since I linked that one up.
Yeah, but why are you going for dinner with the opposition coach?
Because I'm just letting him settle in. I'm just teaching him, what it's like to be in Vietnam, and it's international break. So
Are you paying? Are you trying to get a move already? Surely not.
we're top of the league. He needs to come to us.
Yeah, top of the pops.
And that's it for, I guess, our first episode back. I think there was too much that we wanted to talk about, but we wanted to keep it nice and short and sharp. And we will go into some more detailed conversations, which is something obviously that we've always tried to do. We'll try and be a little bit more lively. I think some of the pundits and some of our friends. I think some people love the way we are, but I think other people want a little bit more, not comedy, I would say, but a little bit more personality of what we're actually like, because they know if they've spent a night out with us what we're actually like, so they want a little bit more of that, I think, rather than being too politically correct with something. So yeah, we'll try and be a little bit more like that, as long as Ben doesn't get in trouble with the APL and the A leagues. We should be all fine. But thanks for tuning in. Good luck to everyone. Good luck to my haters on X. I hope your team has a good weekend. I hope you get the result. And I'm looking forward to having many more chats over the weekend.
Good to be back, guys. We'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Yeah, top of the pops. All right, well,
But
we'll
no,
leave it
it's it's
there.
it's it's um
There's
it's been
so
good.
much
It's been
delay.
good to
There's
chat.
there's
I
so
think
much delay,
we'll.
Gary.
Yeah, I know. It's
Just
thinking,
cut
but
that
obviously we
part
can
out.
fix that. It is what it
Yeah,
is. Obviously,
you go.
well, you go,
No, you go.
Hugo, Hugo boss.
Hugo Lloris. No, seriously, you go. You were talking.